Jack opened his eyes. His head hurt. His mouth was dry. The lights above him were too bright. He tried to move, but he couldn't. His arms and legs felt weak. When he sat up, he froze. He was not on Earth. He was inside a glass cage. Around him were creatures he had never seen before. Some had green skin. Others had metal arms. All of them had big black eyes. They stared at him like he was an animal. Jack's heart pounded. His breath got faster. He looked down. He was only wearing shorts, no shoes, no tools, nothing. He was someone's prisoner. No. Not just a prisoner. He was a pet. Suddenly, a tall figure stepped forward. She wore golden armor and had glowing blue eyes. Her skin was dark purple. Her long hair floated like smoke in the air. The aliens around her bowed. She was the leader. She was the Empress. Jack watched her carefully. She smiled as she looked at him. Then she spoke in a strange alien language, but Jack understood every word. She said, "This one is perfect. I'll take him." Jack didn't move. He didn't speak. He acted like he didn't understand. That was his secret. A small translator chip in his brain helped him understand alien speech. It was secret Earth tech. He was on a deep space mission before this happened. Before he was taken, but they didn't know that. They thought he was just some dumb creature. The Empress pointed to Jack's cage. "Put it on my ship," she said. "He's mine now." 2 robot guards rolled in. The glass cage rose into the air and floated behind the Empress. Jack kept quiet. He wanted to scream. He wanted to fight. But he didn't single quotes not yet. He needed to know more. Who were they? Why did they take him? What did they want? And most important, how could he escape? The Empress's ship was huge, like a flying palace. Golden towers, glowing lights, and thousands of alien servants. Jack was taken into a grand room filled with soft pillows, strange food, and singing birds. It looked beautiful, but it was still a prison. The Empress walked around the room. She laughed. "Look at him," she said to her servants. "So small. So weak. He's cute." Her servants agreed. "He can't talk. He can't think," one said. Jack wanted to punch him, but he stayed calm. He sat on the soft rug. He scratched his ear like a dog. He pretended to be dumb. The Empress came closer. She knelt in front of him. "What should I name you?" she said. Maybe Tiku." Jack didn't react. She smiled. "Tiku it is." One of the guards walked over and spoke in a low voice. Jack listened carefully. "The Empire caught another human ship last week," the guard said. "They are studying. They're mines now." "Good," the Empress replied. "Soon we'll know all their secrets. Earth will fall. And they won't even see it coming." Jack's stomach turned. They were planning to attack Earth. He had to warn someone. "But how?" The Empress stood up. "Let Tiku rest. He will be my royal pet. No one touches him without my order." Jack was moved to a smaller room. It had soft lights, cushions, and a fountain. He had food and water, but no way out. Guards watched him through a screen. He sat in the corner and thought, "So. They don't know I understand them. They think I'm just a dumb pet. That's my advantage." He smiled to himself. They had made a big mistake. Later that night, 2 alien servants came to check on him. They spoke in whispers. "Did you hear?" One said, "The Empress thinks it's just a pet. But what if it's more?" "Doesn't matter," the other replied. "The scientists said humans are dangerous. If this one learns too much, we'll have to kill it." Jack heard every word. He kept his face blank. But inside, his mind raced. "They don't just want to keep me. They want to use me. Or kill me." He had to act. But not yet. He needed a plan. He needed time. And most of all, he needed to pretend to be harmless. Pretend to be weak. Pretend to be stupid. Because one day, when they least expected it, he would strike back, and they'd learn the truth. Humans are not pets. Humans are survivors. Jack was fed grapes by a robot. Yes, grapes. Purple, shiny grapes. Just like the ones on Earth. Only these came from a planet with 3 suns. They floated in the air like bubbles before landing gently in his mouth. Every day, it was the same. Soft music, warm lights, pillows made of silk, a golden bed. Food whenever he wanted. It was paradise. No, it was a golden cage. Jack never forgot that. Everyone in the palace called him Tiku, the royal pet. The Empress treated him like a small child. Sometimes she patted his head. Sometimes she played games with him. Other times, she just talked thinking he couldn't understand a word. But Jack understood everything. He always did. And he remembered why he stayed quiet. The Empress was not kind. She was dangerous. And her empire was planning to destroy Earth. One morning, Jack pretended to chase a floating ball. 2 alien guards laughed as he rolled across the floor like a pet. But while they laughed, Jack was listening. Sector 9 has fallen, one said in a low voice. The humans are clever. They fight harder than we expected. Doesn't matter, the other replied. The Empress has a plan. Earth will be taken soon. Jack froze for just 1 second. Then he barked like a dog and spun in a circle. The guards laughed. Again. But inside, Jack was burning. He needed to act. But how? That night, the Empress invited guests to her throne room, leaders from other alien worlds, generals, traders, scientists, and Jack. He sat beside the Empress's chair like a pet cat. 1 alien bowed. Your Highness, we've studied the human brain more. They adapt too fast. They build weapons from trash. We should destroy them now. No, the Empress said with a soft smile. I want their planet, their land, their oceans, their gold. She looked down at Jack and stroked his hair. And I want more pets like this one. Everyone laughed. Jack stayed still. But his fists were tight. His heart was loud in his chest. He smiled like a pet, but he listened like a soldier. Later, back in his private room, Jack walked in circles. He was angry, scared, tired, but he couldn't give up. He sat down and pulled out a small silver piece, hidden in his pillow. It was part of a communicator he stole 2 days ago. If he found the rest, he could contact Earth. But the palace was full of guards and danger. He needed to be smarter. Suddenly, his door opened. 2 alien maids walked in. They spoke softly, thinking he didn't understand. Did you hear? One whispered. The Empress asked about Earth again. She's obsessed with those humans, said the other. Especially this one. The way she looks at him, she's starting to trust him. Jack blinked. Trust? That was dangerous. If she trusted him, she might show him more. And if she showed him more, he might find a way out. The next day, something new happened. The Empress sat beside him on the floor. No guards, no servants. Just her and Jack. I don't know why I like you, little Tiku, she said. Maybe because you don't speak. You just listen. Jack nodded like a dumb animal. She smiled. Everyone lies to me. But you just watch. It's peaceful. She leaned closer. I think you're smarter than they say. Jack's heart skipped a beat. Was it a trap? Did she know? He licked her hand like a dog. She laughed. Maybe not, she said. You're just a silly creature. She stood up and walked away. But Jack knew. She was starting to watch him more closely, and that meant time was running out. That night, Jack looked at the stars through the palace window. Somewhere out there was Earth. And Earth was in danger, but they didn't know he was alive. They didn't know he was listening. They didn't know he was coming. He clenched his fist and whispered 3 words only he could understand. Not your pet. It began with a scream. Not Jack's, someone else. Far away, but loud enough to reach his room. Jack sat up, wide awake. The palace was quiet. Too quiet. Usually at night, there was music, or guards talking, or the sound of alien birds outside the windows. Tonight there was nothing. Then he heard it again. A scream, short, then silence. He moved to the door. It looked closed, but he had learned a trick. The scanner on the door only opened for palace staff. But earlier that week, Jack had stolen a guard's badge when they weren't looking. He slipped the small crystal chip under the door panel. The light blinked green. The door slid open. Jack stepped out into the dark hallway. This was his first time outside without guards. He had waited weeks for this moment. The palace was massive. Endless halls, golden doors, floating platforms, glowing plants. Most of it was beautiful and fake. A golden cage is still a cage. Jack walked slowly, quietly. His feet made no sound on the soft floor. He passed empty rooms, silent halls, and glowing statues. Then he saw something strange. A door with a red symbol on it. He had seen it once before from his cage. A guard had said, "No one goes near the red door. Not even the Empress." That made Jack curious. And tonight he wasn't just curious. He was ready. The door had no handle. Just a scanner. Jack pulled out the stolen badge. He pressed it against the lock. Clicked. The door opened. Cold air hit his face. He stepped inside. The room was huge and dark. Blue lights flickered on the walls. There were large tanks filled with green liquid. Inside the tanks were shapes. Some looked human. Others didn't. Single quotes T. Jack walked closer. One of the tanks held a man. He looked alive, wires in his arms, tubes in his neck. His eyes were closed. He looked frozen. Jack's heart raced. These were experiments. This was a lab. He walked further in and saw more human bodies, some missing arms, some missing eyes, others with machines built into their heads. He wanted to vomit. This was not a palace. This was a horror show, a secret prison. On a table, he saw something that stopped him cold. Earth tech. A helmet with English writing. A gun from Earth's army. Broken transmitter, just like the one he was building in his room. They had stolen it all. They were studying humans, learning how Earth worked, learning how to beat them. Jack picked up a small cube. It lit up with a soft glow. It was a recording. He tapped it. A human voice came from the cube. "This is Captain Ryan. If anyone finds this, Earth is not safe. The aliens are alarmed. Red lights. Sirens. He dropped the cube. Footsteps. Shouting. He had tripped a sensor. He had to move. Now. Jack ran back through the door. Down the hall. He turned left then right. More footsteps behind him. Alien voices. "Find it. It was in the lab." They still called him it. Like an animal. Good. That meant they still didn't know the truth. He dove into a dark room and closed the door behind him. He was back in his room. Safe. For now. The next morning, the Empress visited him. She looked calm. Too calm. She knelt beside him and touched his hair. "Tiku," she said. "Strange things happened last night. Someone entered a room they should not have." Jack blinked, pretended not to understand. She looked into his eyes for a long time, then smiled. "Never mind. You are just a pet." She turned and walked away. Jack saw it, for 1 second, in her eyes. She didn't believe that anymore. That night, Jack pulled out the cube he stole. He had hidden it inside a food bowl. He turned it on. The voice spoke again. "This is Captain Ryan. If anyone finds this, we are not dead. We are waiting. Earth will fight. You are not alone." Jack closed his eyes. He felt something deep in his chest. Hope. Asterisk. The Empress killed an entire planet before breakfast. Jack watched it happen with his own eyes. No weapons in her hands. No fire. Just a quiet voice and a smile. The morning began like any other. Music played softly. Alien servants moved quietly around the throne room. Jack sat beside the Empress's throne, pretending to be bored. He chewed a glowing Fruiton stared at the floor. But he was listening. Always listening. A tall general walked into the room. His armor was covered in dust and burn marks. He bowed deeply. "My Empress," he said. "The rebels on Cora 7 refuse to kneel. They have human allies. What are your orders?" The Empress didn't move. She didn't blink. She picked up a silver spoon, stirred her glowing drink, and said in a calm voice, "Destroy the planet." The room went quiet. Even the birds in the trees stopped singing. The general nodded. "As you command." Jack's hands tightened around the fruit. A whole planet gone. Because they helped humans? Because they dared to fight? 2 hours later, Jack watched the live feed on the palace screen. The planet was blue and green. Small cities covered the surface. Children ran through the streets. Families stood together on rooftops, pointing up at the sky. Then the ships came. Silent. Cold. And deadly. In less than 5 minutes. The planet was ash. The Empress took a sip of her drink and clapped her hands once. "Clean," she said. "No. Survivors." Jack felt sick, but he couldn't look away. This wasn't a ruler. This was a monster. That night, Jack sat alone in his room. He stared at the wall. His heart was heavy. He had seen death before. He was a soldier once. But this was different. This wasn't war. This was murder. He thought of Earth. He thought of cities, people, trees, dogs barking, rain on glass. And he imagined it all turning to fire. He couldn't let that happen. But the Empress was smart, powerful, always watching. And worst of all, she was starting to like him. The next morning, she visited him again. This time, she didn't wear armor. She wore a soft dress made of stars. Her hair floated like it was underwater. She sat beside Jack and gave him a soft piece of cake. "There is no one I trust," she whispered. "No one but you." Jack looked into her eyes for a second. He saw a girl, not a killer, not a queen, just a lonely soul in a golden prison. Then the moment passed. She stood and walked away, and Jack knew she could smile at him, laugh with him, even hold his hand. But the next day, she would burn 10 more planets and never feel a thing. Later that day, Jack was taken to a private garden inside the palace. The air smelled sweet. The sky was always purple here. A small alien girl was crying by a tree. A guard dragged her by the arm. She stole food. The guard growled. The Empress appeared like a shadow. Jack watched from behind a tree. The guard growled. The Empress appeared like a shadow. Jack watched from behind a tree. Empress didn't ask why. She didn't listen. She just said, "End her." The guard raised his weapon. Jack couldn't stop himself. He barked, loud, wild, ran in circles. The Empress turned. She laughed. "Tiku, what are you doing?" He jumped, rolled, made noise. The girl ran. The guard chased her but slipped. By the time they caught her again, the Empress had already lost interest. "Take her to the mines," she said. "Let her live. She will suffer longer." Jack stared at her. And in that moment, he made a promise to himself. One day, she suffered too. That night, Jack opened the panel under his bed. He had built half of the transmitter. He just needed 2 more pieces. Soon, he would speak to Earth. Soon, they would come for him and for her. But time was running out. The Empress trusted him now. She would share more. Secrets, plans, war strategies. And the more she trusted him, the more dangerous everything became. She didn't know Jack was listening. She didn't know he remembered every word. She didn't know a storm was growing right beside her throne. The Empress stood on her warship, ready to speak to Earth. But her favorite pet was gone, and the cage was empty. "Where is he?" she growled. Guards searched every room. No one answered. The cameras showed nothing. But she knew Jack had escaped. And that meant only one thing. He was planning something. Far below the ship, in the belly of the hangar, Jack moved like a shadow. He wore stolen armor, carried stolen weapons. and inside his helmet. A live signal from Earth Command buzzed in his ear. "Jack," said the voice. "We are locked onto your location. Countdown. To arrival, 3 minutes." Jack smiled. "Tell them to bring everything." In space, behind a quiet moon, Earth's fleet waited. 10 ships. Silent, black, hidden. Built from scrap, pain, and fire. Built by survivors. Humans had rebuilt Earth once. Now they came to protect it. And Jack had given them the key, the Empress's ship codes, on the main deck. The Empress prepared her speech. She looked perfect, calm, royal cold. A message to Earth would begin soon. Her voice would be broadcast across human space. Her plan was simple. Let Jack speak first. Show him loyal. Let Earth kneel. Then strike. But something was wrong. There was static on the screen. Then a voice. Jack's voice. "This is not your Empress speaking." Gasps. Guards looked at each other. The Empress turned slowly. Jack stood behind her throne. Laser weapon aimed at her back. His eyes were sharp. His voice was calm. "I was your pet," he said. "But you forgot one thing." He stepped forward. "Humans. Bite back." At that moment, alarms rang through the ship. Outside, Earth's fleet dropped from the shadows like thunder. Cannons fired. Explosions lit up the sky. Jack dived, fired, ran. The Empress screamed, "Stop him!" But it was too late. The humans were inside. They came with rage. They came with purpose. Jack moved through fire and smoke. He wasn't saving just himself. Now he was ending something old, something evil. He reached the main engine room, placed a bomb, set. The timer. 2 minutes. He turned back and saw her. The Empress. Alone. Bleeding. But still standing tall. "You ruined everything," she said. Jack raised his weapon. "You ruined yourself." She stepped forward. "You think you win today?" He nodded. "I know we do." He shot the window. Glass shattered. Air roared out. The Empress flew backward, screaming into space. Gone. Jack ran. The bomb ticked down. 10. 9. He jumped into an escape pod. The warship exploded behind him like a dying star. Later, floating in space, Earth Command found him. He climbed out of the pod. Dirty, bruised, smiling. "Welcome home, soldier," someone said. He looked up at Earth. Safe. Alive. Free. Jack whispered the words he had waited so long to say. "Never call us pets." Jack was 6 seconds away from getting caught. He held his breath. His fingers were deep inside the Empress's food machine, pulling out a glowing wire. Behind him, footsteps. Heavy. Getting closer. He yanked the wire free and dropped to the floor. Just as the door opened, a guard walked in. Jack rolled over, scratched his belly, and made a silly sound. The guard stared, then laughed. "Stupid creature," he muttered, walking away. Jack waited until the door closed. Then he sat up, holding the wire in his hand. That was the last piece. Now, the transmitter was complete. For weeks, he had worked in secret. A chip from a broken helmet, a battery from a cleaning robot, a lens from the Empress's mirror, and now, a power wire from her food machine, all hidden under his bed, inside an old pillow. It looked like a toy, but it was a lifeline, a signal device. If it worked, Earth would hear him. If it failed, he would die. That night, while fake stars shined through the palace windows, Jack sat in the dark and turned it on. A small, red light blinked. Then green. Then static. He leaned in close and whispered, "This is Jack. I'm alive, captive on the Empress's ship. Earth is in danger. Send help." He repeated the message 3 times. Then shut it off, and waited. The next morning, the Empress wore her war cloak, black and sharp like a blade. She sat on her throne and looked down at the galaxy map. "We strike Sector 12 next," she said. "It holds water, and the humans need water." Jack sat at her feet, silent, but his mind was racing. If Earth got the signal, they would come. If they didn't, He was already dead. A general stepped forward. There was strange activity last. "Night," he said. A small burst of human signal, very weak. Jack's chest tightened. The Empress narrowed her eyes. "Search the ship," she said. Top to bottom, Jack acted normal. He scratched behind his ear. Chased a bug. Licked his paw. But inside, his thoughts screamed, "They're coming. They'll find it. I need to move it." That night, Jack moved the transmitter to the Empress's private garden. No one ever checked there. He buried it under a plant that glowed at night. But as he turned to leave, a voice stopped him cold. "You're not just a pet, are you?" Jack turned slowly. The Empress stood behind him, her eyes glowing blue in the dark. She had no guards. No weapons, she didn't need any. Jack looked at her. Stayed still, she walked. "Closer, I've been watching you," she said softly. "You're smarter than you look." Jack blinked. Licked his arm. She laughed. "You can fool the guards, maybe even my generals, but not me." She stepped even closer, then knelt beside him and whispered, "If you can understand me, nod once." Jack didn't move, not at first. But then slowly, carefully, he nodded. Once. The truth was out. The Empress didn't look shocked. She smiled. "I knew it," she said, "and I let you stay. I let you listen, because I wanted to see what you would do." Jack stayed silent. She leaned in and whispered again, "You sent a message, didn't you?" Jack's body tensed. But the Empress didn't look angry. She looked interested. "You're braver than I thought. Maybe useful." She stood up. "You want to save your world?" she said. "Help me destroy my enemies first, and I'll spare Earth." Jack's jaw tightened. Was she lying? Or was this his only chance? Back in his room, Jack stared at the stars again. He had done it. He sent the message. The Empress knew the truth, and she offered a deal. But could he trust her? No, still. He nodded to himself. "I'll play the game." Then softly, like a promise to no one, "But I play to win." Jack stood in front of a giant screen, watching Earth burn. Not a dream, not a future, a recording. Old, grainy, real. Cities in flames, oceans boiling, people screaming. The screen flickered. The Empress spoke behind him. That was Earth, 20 years ago. Jack turned, eyes wide. "That's not possible," he said. The Empress smiled. "It is. Because your Earth already died once." Jack's hands shook. He had seen war. He had seen pain. But this was something else. "You're lying," he said. She didn't blink. "I was there, Jack. I ended it myself." He didn't know what to believe anymore. Until she walked to the center of the room and touched a glowing orb. It showed another Earth. Blue, bright, alive. "Your people rebuilt it," she said. "But only because I allowed it." Jack stared at the screen. His mind couldn't keep up. She continued, "You think I took you because you're a pet? Or a joke? No, Jack, I took you because you are the last missing piece." He frowned. "Missing piece for what?" She smiled. "For control." Jack's head spun. She told him everything now. The truth behind it all. Earth had once been part of the Empire long ago. Secretly, quietly, but humans rebelled, escaped, fought back. They were smart, fast, angry. Exactly the kind of threat she hated. So she wiped them out, or thought she did. But some survived. They rebuilt Earth. And now the Empress wanted it back. Jack stepped back. His mind raced. All this time, he thought he was just a prisoner, a spy, a survivor. But now he understood. He was a weapon, and she wanted to use him. "You will lead them for me," she said. "You will speak to your people. Tell them to kneel. Or die again." Jack stared at her. "You really think I'd help you?" She nodded calmly. "I know you will." "Why?" She leaned closer. "Because if you don't, I'll destroy Earth. Again, And this time, I'll make you watch. Silence filled the room. Jack felt cold. Broken. Then something clicked inside him. He straightened his back and smiled. You think I'm afraid of you? He said. The Empress tilted her head. No. He continued. I'm afraid of what I'll do to you if you ever touch Earth again. The Empress laughed. Still fighting, she said. That's why I like you. She turned away. Prepare him, she told the guards. He joins the warship tomorrow. Earth will listen to one of their own. Jack was taken away. No chains. He wasn't a prisoner anymore. He was a puppet, a message, a tool, but not for long. Inside his new room on the warship, he sat alone. The stars outside the window were quiet. Then a voice buzzed in his stolen transmitter. Jack. We heard. You. It was Earth Command. We're coming. Jack closed his eyes for the first time in weeks. He smiled for real. He wasn't alone.